but sometimes you have to take a step back and do a little throwback, because what I'm looking at here, these are the ultimate family trip cruisers that we remember. I mean, my parents had a wood-paneled station wagon. Diane and Bill are joining me right now. You've got to explain what this whole road trip was from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, all the way here to Detroit.
Well, we had the sixth drive home, we call it, where we drive these cars across the country to celebrate Detroit, celebrate driving, and tell people about the Detroit Auto Show. We started in Jackson Hole, Wyoming with these 4 cars, and we drove over 2,000 miles in 8 days, visited a lot of schools, historic monuments that you would have driven to as a family, Mount Rushmore, Yellowstone, the Grand Tetons, Old Faithful. So just recreating that family vacation using maps, which
is very rare. I remember the maps and the highlighters back then. It's like, hold the map, open the map. Bill, what was it like in terms of just kind of recreating this and then encountering families along the way? What were they saying when they saw these cars?
We'd meet so many folks at gas stations and restaurants, roadside restaurants, and they had memories of driving these same cars on these road trips back when they were children. And, it wasn't always all fun and games.
No, it was
not. So we had a lot of a commiseration there, and it was a lot of fun to just to enjoy that nostalgia of being out on the open road. You can see things on the road that you can't get when you're traveling by train or rail. Encounters you don't expect, and we had 8 days of that. It was wonderful.
I think it's interesting because everything is so immediate. We want to get from here to there quickly, and a lot of times we're head down. We're always either looking at a phone or we're having somebody else navigate for us, and we're not using what's around us to be able to plug into that. What about this trip brought that back for you, Diane?
We do use maps, and we do use the pink highlighter, actually, and I have them in my car. And because we're in a lot of areas where there isn't cell service, so you can't rely on new technology all the time. And we drive 55 miles an hour usually. A lot of people are excited that they can see the cars. Others aren't as tolerant when you're driving old cars. But it's like Bill said, it slows people down. They really want to engage in conversation. I don't know how many people said they used to yell, "I get the way back," so they could sit in the way back like my sister.
You never wanted to sit in the middle. My sisters called it hump riding, because you always sat on the hump in the middle. I always got that as the youngest.
Exactly. So we're just excited that we got here without any collision damage. All of our crew is good. We did have some mechanical issues on the way, but thankfully all of us are pretty mechanically inclined. We correct those on the way and keep moving. That's part of the challenge of, like Bill writes for Hemmings and for our Open Road magazine at our museum, America's Car Museum in Tacoma. And like Bill says, if bad stuff doesn't happen, he doesn't have news part of the time.
It's not a story then. No one's going to remember it. All right, so can you guys give us some of the specs here, some of the vehicles that we're looking at?
Sure. We'll start with this one. It's a 1957 Chevy Nomad. It's got a 327 V8. It would have originally had a 283. It's actually got a 4-speed manual transmission. It's the most rewarding driver of the 4 we have. And actually, it's been very dependable. Now, I personally have been from Loveland Pass to Times Square in this car. This car has done thousands of miles for the LeMay America's Car Museum, and it's been really dependable. It's just a wonderful car, and of course it wins every beauty contest at every stoplight.
It sure is pretty slick. All right, let's move around to this one. Oh, I recognize this one. This was our wagon.
Well, this is our homage to the National Lampoon's Vacation, complete with Aunt Edna on the roof. She did actually get to see Mount Rushmore this year. So this would have been something that it's so basic. Your father had brown cars with brown interior, just basic transportation.
Nothing was flashy back then.
No, but you know what? It apart from a little bit of overheating through the mountains, it ran just great.
My gosh. And so how did you get all of these vehicles?
Well, they come from the collection of the LeMay America's Car Museum in Tacoma. So we do have one that's been lent to us by Jamie Will of Titus Will Ford in Tacoma. That's a very nice car as well. Yeah. And this car here was
let's go down.
Sure.
Lead us on down there. Diane, after you.
This car is a 1955 Ford Fairlane Country Squire, just the ultimate family road trip car back in the 50s. And this is owned by Jake Whitman, who is a producer for the Today Show who did a segment which we'll be showing next month.
Yeah, Harry Smith rode around with you a little bit.
Yeah, he really enjoyed himself.
Yeah. So Diane, what if people want to learn more about what you guys are doing, where should they go?
Our hashtag is AAT Drive Home.
Okay. That's good stuff. And what was your favorite car to do the road trip in?
Okay, well, I spent all my time behind the wheel of the 89 Caprice, and I did get to drive with Harry in Jake's car for a while, which is great, and I've enjoyed the Nomad at other times, so I was the road boss on the entire trip, so they had to follow.
Okay, so all right, so road boss meant that you were in charge of the direction and you led the convoy.
Every day, yes.
Was there any stress in that?
No, none whatsoever. They're all really great guys. We had a great time.
I love it. Thank you so much. This was really wonderful, and for the tour around the cars as well. And I think, I don't know, I think I want to put Road Boss on a mug or something like that. I mean, that's
A wine glass would probably be more appropriate.
You know what? Hey, that sounds like a great idea. Thanks very much. Okay, enjoy the auto show.
Thank you.
All right, good
Thank
stuff.